In a town full of Christmas cheer lived a grumpy old man named Scrooge. Scrooge hated Christmas. While everyone else was busy decorating their homes with twinkling lights and festive ornaments, Scrooge would sit in his dimly lit house, grumbling about the noise and the merriment. The townsfolk would greet each other with warm smiles and cheerful, "Merry Christmas!" But Scrooge would only respond with a scowl. "Bah, humbug," he'd always say. The children would sing carols in the streets, their voices filled with joy, but Scrooge would slam his windows shut to block out the sound. He couldn't understand why everyone was so happy. He wouldn't even share a smile. No matter how many times people tried to include him in the festivities, he would refuse. He avoided the Christmas market, ignored the holiday parties, and never once joined in the laughter and fun. One snowy Christmas Eve, Scrooge sat alone in his dark, cold house. The wind howled outside and the snow piled up against his door. He could hear the distant sounds of laughter and music, but he paid no attention. He was too busy counting his money. He counted his money, but it didn't make him happy. He had plenty of coins and bills, but they brought him no joy. He thought about all the things he could buy, but none of them seemed worth the trouble. He was rich, but he was also lonely. Suddenly, a ghostly figure appeared. It was a shimmering, ethereal presence that seemed to glow in the darkness. Scrooge rubbed his eyes, thinking he was seeing things, but the figure remained. It was the ghost of Christmas past. The ghost floated towards Scrooge, its eyes filled with a sad wisdom. "Scrooge," it said in a voice that echoed like a distant memory, "I am here to show you the moments that made you the way you are." "I'm here to show you why you're so grumpy," the ghost boomed. Scrooge was scared. He had never believed in ghosts, but here one was, right in front of him. He felt a chill run down his spine as the ghost reached out a hand. "Let's go," the ghost said, whisking Scrooge away on a magical journey. They flew through the night past snow-covered rooftops and twinkling lights until they reached a small, cozy house. "This is where it all began," the ghost said, and Scrooge felt a pang of recognition. It was his childhood home, and he was about to relive the Christmases of his past. Scrooge and the ghost travelled back in time. Scrooge saw himself as a young boy all alone on Christmas. Poor little Scrooge, he thought. Next, they saw Scrooge as a young man. He loved money more than anything, even his fiancée Belle. "Oh, Belle," Scrooge sighed. He missed her. The ghost reminded Scrooge of the joy he had forgotten. Scrooge felt a little sad inside. He wished he hadn't wasted so many Christmases being grumpy. The ghost of Christmas past vanished into the mist, leaving Scrooge standing alone in the cold, foggy night. The air was thick with a sense of anticipation, and Scrooge could feel the weight of the silence around him. He shivered, not just from the cold, but from the uncertainty of what was to come. Suddenly, a new ghost appeared before him, emerging from the fog like a beacon of light in the darkness. This ghost was different from the last, radiating warmth and cheer. This one was jolly and bright red like Santa Claus. His eyes twinkled with merriment, and his laughter was infectious. He wore a wreath of holly on his head and carried a torch that seemed to spread joy wherever it shone. "I am the ghost of Christmas present," he boomed, his voice echoing through the empty streets. "Come, Scrooge, and see the world as it is today, in this very moment." The ghost took Scrooge to see his nephew, Fred. They arrived at Fred's home, where the warmth of the fire and the sound of laughter filled the air. Fred was surrounded by friends and family, all gathered to celebrate the joy of Christmas. Fred was having a wonderful Christmas party. The room was decorated with garlands and lights, and the table was laden with delicious food. The atmosphere was one of pure happiness and camaraderie. Everyone was singing Christmas carols, even jingle bells. The music filled the room, and everyone joined in, their voices blending in perfect harmony. It was a scene of pure joy and celebration. Then the ghost showed Scrooge the Cratchit family. They lived in a small, humble home, but it was filled with love and warmth. The Cratchits were gathered around their modest Christmas tree, their faces glowing with happiness. They were poor, but they were happy to be together. The love they shared was evident in every smile, every laugh, and every kind word. Despite their limited means, they found joy in each other's company. Tiny Tim, their youngest son, was sick. His frail body and weak voice tugged at Scrooge's heartstrings. Yet, despite his illness, Tiny Tim's spirit was unbroken. He was surrounded by the love and care of his family, who did everything they could to make him comfortable and happy. Scrooge felt sorry for them. For the first time, he began to understand the true meaning of Christmas. It wasn't about wealth or material possessions, but about love, compassion, and the joy of being with those you care about. The ghost of Christmas present had shown him a world filled with warmth and kindness, and Scrooge's heart began to soften. The ghost of Christmas present disappeared, and a scary ghost took his place. This ghost was dark and spooky. "I am the ghost of Christmas future," he whispered. The ghost showed Scrooge a future where everyone was sad about Tiny Tim. "What happened?" cried Scrooge. The ghost pointed to a grave. Scrooge was heartbroken. Then the ghost showed Scrooge his own lonely grave. No one cared about him. Scrooge was terrified. He didn't want to end up alone and forgotten. Section 5. Scrooge's Transformation. Scrooge woke up in his own bed. It was just a dream, he thought, but something had changed. Scrooge didn't feel grumpy anymore. He felt happy. "Merry Christmas!" Scrooge shouted out his window. He laughed and danced around his room. He even sang "Deck the Halls." Scrooge had never felt so much Christmas spirit. Section 6. Spreading Christmas Cheer. The holiday season is a time for joy, love, and giving. It's a time when communities come together to celebrate and share the warmth of the season. In this chapter, we will see how one man's transformation brought happiness to everyone around him. Scrooge, once a miserly old man, ran out into the street shouting "Merry Christmas" to everyone he met. His heart was filled with newfound joy and generosity. He gave money to the poor, ensuring that those less fortunate could also enjoy the festive season. His actions were a stark contrast to his previous behavior, and people were pleasantly surprised by his generosity. Scrooge even wished his old business partner, Jacob Marley, a happy Christmas. Though Marley was no longer alive, Scrooge's gesture symbolized his desire to make amends and spread goodwill. Scrooge saw a boy in the street and said, "Go buy the biggest turkey you can find and bring it to the Cratchit family." The boy was amazed and couldn't believe his ears. He ran off excitedly to fulfill Scrooge's request. The boy's eyes sparkled with joy as he imagined the Cratchit family's delight upon receiving the enormous turkey. It was a gesture that would make their Christmas truly special. Scrooge then went to Fred's house, his nephew, and said, "Merry Christmas, nephew." His voice was filled with warmth and sincerity. Fred, who had always welcomed Scrooge despite his grumpiness, was overjoyed to see this change in him. "I was wrong to be so grumpy," Scrooge admitted, his eyes reflecting his newfound humility. He realized how much he had missed out on by isolating himself from his family and friends. "Can I join your party?" Scrooge asked, his voice tinged with hope. He longed to be part of the celebrations and to make up for lost time. Fred welcomed him with open arms, embracing his uncle warmly. The family gathered around, their hearts filled with love and forgiveness. Scrooge's transformation was complete, and he was finally able to experience the true meaning of Christmas. The spirit of Christmas had touched Scrooge's heart, and he became a beacon of joy and generosity in his community. His story reminds us that it's never too late to change, and that the true essence of Christmas lies in spreading love and kindness to those around us. As the snow fell gently on the festive streets, people walked and chatted happily, their hearts warmed by the spirit of the season. The holiday lights twinkled, reflecting the joy and unity that Christmas brings. From the decorations that adorned the town to the smiles on people's faces, it was clear that Christmas cheer was spreading far and wide. And at the heart of it all was Scrooge, a man who had discovered the true magic of Christmas. As families sat down to their festive meals, raising their glasses in a toast, they were reminded of the importance of togetherness and the joy of giving. Scrooge's story had inspired them all to be a little kinder, a little more generous, and to cherish the moments spent with loved ones. The snowy streets at night, illuminated by the glowing Christmas lights, exuded a sense of peace and tranquility. It was a reminder that the spirit of Christmas can bring light to even the darkest of times. And so, with love in his heart and a newfound appreciation for life, Scrooge signed his Christmas cards, spreading cheer to everyone he knew. His journey from grumpiness to joy was a testament to the transformative power of Christmas. This Christmas, let us all take a page from Scrooge's book and spread a little extra cheer. After all, the true magic of the season lies in the love and kindness we share with one another. Section 7. A joyful Christmas day. Scrooge had the best Christmas day ever. He ate delicious food, sang carols, and played games with Fred's family. He even learned how to dance. Scrooge gave Tiny Tim a big hug and promised to help his family. Tiny Tim's eyes sparkled with joy. As the day came to an end, everyone gathered around the piano and sang "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." Scrooge had never felt so much love and happiness. Section 8. The True Spirit of Christmas. From that day on, Scrooge was a changed man. He was kind and generous, and he loved Christmas more than anything. He spread Christmas cheer wherever he went. Scrooge learned that the true spirit of Christmas wasn't about money or presents, but about kindness, generosity, and love. And that, my friends, is the end of our story. Merry Christmas!